What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to tonight's late night agenda. I hope that you are all in good spirits and I hope life is treating you well. We have a little bit of bad news around Darwin Nunez, which is where I will kick off, but we also have a couple of transfer bits and pieces as well. And here's the good news for a lot of you, because I do read the comments. The good news is I won't be mentioning Jude Bellingham in this video other than that one mentioned there. So that's the good news, because I know a lot of people are a little bit burnt out around that subject. So let me know your thoughts on the Nunez situation and everything else I speak about tonight in the comment section. Drop a like on the video and of course hit that subscribe button. As you can see, top corner, we've hit 158,000 subs. We're rolling towards 160. Every single one of your subscriptions really does help. So look, let's kick off today with the bad news. We say many times when Paul Joyce tweets or when Paul Joyce writes an article, the world takes notice. And today, unfortunately, it was a negative from Paul Joyce. And it's not his fault. It's just news. And the news is that Darwin Nunez is a doubt and has pretty much been ruled out by the sounds of it for the Brighton game with an unspecified injury. Now, that's all we know at this moment in time. It's an unspecified injury, so we have no idea. But I tell you what it does do, give us yet another massive headache. Because right now, we've got so many top tier players out in Jota, in Diaz, in Van Dijk, now in Darwin. And there's many others on that list as well. Bobby Firmino, another one. So we are running low on attacking options. Now it seems that Liverpool are weighing up the possibility of playing Cody Gakpo through the centre. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But I tell you one thing, my friends, going into what is a very tricky game against a very good Brighton on Saturday, this is definitely not the news that we were all hoping to hear today. So I would say, fingers crossed, that it's not a long time that he's out, but you never know at Liverpool Football Club because we've seen these things happen before. Remember Van Dijk's injury? Just felt a little something, probably nothing to worry about. And then we get the news that it's going to be 6 weeks. So right now, we don't know the ins and outs of it, but it is going to be another headache for Jurgen Klopp. And I do have to ask, does anybody else get the feeling that all the people over the years who said there's something about the way that we play, the way that we train, that does increase these injuries? Because I think, and it's just a thought process, I don't have the stats to back this up and I could be way off, but it does feel like to me, we get a lot of key injuries to key players more than our rivals or more than other teams in the league. And I can only think that that's because of the methods of how we train, how we play and the intensity levels. But I don't know. Over to you guys on that one. Let me know your thoughts on it. So it's not great news about Darwin, but you know, at least we do have Cody Gakpo in. So whether Jurgen Klopp goes with Salah on the right, Gakpo in the centre and Carvalho or Elliott on the left, I don't know. Here's what I don't want to happen. And you're probably already saying the same things at home. Please, 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 Jurgen, please, 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 for the love of God, do not play Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain on the left wing or Curtis Jones. At least go with Eddie or Carvalho. At least give one of the youngsters a chance because, I don't know, because I just can't do it, Jurgen. I just can't. I can't sit through another Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain left wing stinker. So, yeah, bad news on that front. But we do move on to some transfer topics because there have been a couple of relatively interesting stories today in the media. Now, one of them is a better manager, or should I say assistant manager, and that is Pep Lijnders, who said, I will assist Jurgen and Jurgen only. After this project, I will become my own manager. Does he mean that at Liverpool or elsewhere? Because I know right now Pep Lijnders isn't a very popular man among some sections of our fan base. For me, I've always held him in high esteem and I always will. But interesting to hear his thoughts. So let's move on to the actual transfer stories that we've seen over the past 24 hours. And again, this comes from Rudy Galletti, and he said, Real Sociedad's Mikel Merino and Napoli's Petr Zielinski are two of the names on Liverpool's list of potential midfield signings. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, folks, but I thought we'd already done the Zielinski thing when Rodgers was here, before he went to Napoli. I don't see Liverpool going back in now and buying a player who's, I think he's 28, if I'm right, in Zielinski, and then bringing him in, because we don't need 28-year-old midfielders. We need young midfielders. We need midfielders who haven't run through the hard yards of their career yet. I'm not saying his name, but you know what I'm thinking about. Type of midfielders that we need, to me, isn't Zielinski. Now, with regards to Merino, I have to say, the Real Sociedad player, I don't really know much about him. I haven't watched much of him. I would be a La Liga fan and I do watch my fair share of games, but I certainly have never taken the time to really cast an eye over Mikel Merino. So, and I've also seen something today that said he's quite happy at Sociedad, and he's flattered by links and stuff, but quite happy there. So maybe this is one that, you know, probably isn't true or probably won't come to fruition. But what worries me mostly is that they're not really superstar names there, are they? They're not midfielder listed names that would get you up off the edge of your seat. Zielinski's decent, don't get me wrong. He would have been a decent signing if we signed him all those years ago. But right now, yeah, I'd have a pass from me anyway. And the other interesting one today comes from, and I want to give credit to Anfield Edition, who's the tweet that was used here in the Echo when I seen this article, said Nice would be willing to sell midfielder Kefren Thuram for around €30 million, with Liverpool having already held talk with the 21-year-old about a switch to Anfield. Now, this is a name that some of you guys have mentioned to me, and I will start to look into in more detail, but I've got nothing on regards to whether there's any truth to it or not. I mean, I'll just look into whether he's a good player or not. So I want your thoughts on this in the comment section, because I know that there are some big fans of French football in the Anfield Agenda community. I mean, I've been getting some grey heads up over the years from people in our Discord who watch the league on a regular basis and, you know, fill me in on players. So yeah, maybe you've seen a lot of this guy more than I have. Obviously, Nice are owned by Britain's richest man, Sir Jim Radcliffe, so I don't know that they'll necessarily want to sell, but, you know, if the talks of around €30 million are true, and if he is somebody the club wants, and again, I've no knowledge of him, 30 million doesn't sound like an unrealistic fee for a midfielder. There was a bit more negative news, I'm afraid, and that's around Sofiane Amrabat. I'm sure you've probably seen the stories over the last 24 or 48 hours that suggest that he prefers the idea of a move to join Atletico Madrid over Liverpool Football Club. I don't get it. I don't get it, because you're straight away, if you go into Atleti, you're fighting against the big two, Real Madrid, Barcelona. You've got a manager there who may not be there for the long haul. So all I can really put it down to is maybe the climate, maybe the fact that, you know, quality of life or so. I don't know. I can't really figure it out, but that's what it seems to be. Sofiane Amrabat prefers the idea of a move to Atleti over Liverpool. So that is what it is, my friends. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But here we are now, Thursday, 12th of January, and still no midfield additions in the January window, and still no concrete links to one coming in the January window. So again, it's a bit frustrating. There was some talks as well about Tom Werner was speaking about being booed over in Boston, and they were saying basically that owners get booed all the time, and his actual words were, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. Get out of the kitchen, Tom. Time to get out of the kitchen, mate, because we need you to pony up. We need John to pony up. We need you to actually get your hands out and get the job done. All these briefings about 200 and 250 million in the summer are great, but I watched yesterday's video back and I read through all the comments, and the amount of people in the comment section that said, if we don't get top four, then no, that person's name, who I'm not going to mention in this video. And I have to say, I disagree on that. And I disagree on that for one reason. If it was a regular thing and we're missing out, fair enough. But one season, that hasn't happened yet, by the way, because a lot of people have already just wrote us off. Remember last year when people didn't think we'd be in a title race, me included, and there we were in a title race. So what I'm saying is, don't let the doom and gloom overwhelm you at this moment in time. Liverpool still have a lot to fight for. Yes, the odds are stacked against us. Yes, our form hasn't been great. But I think we've learned not to write Jurgen and the group off fully until we know that there's no way back. So that's it from me today, my friends. We will, of course, be hosting a watch-along of the Brighton game from 2 p.m. on the Anfield Agenda Twitch channel. If you want to join our circle for that game as well, you will find the link in the description of this video. I look forward to catching up with you real soon. Take care. Bye-bye.